Welcome into the Harold Besser Tribute Show, also known as the Cinema 9 Podcast. We say farewell.
Whoa!
Whoa! Do over?
Damn it.
Podcast.
I was talking the whole time before that, too. Welcome into the Cinema 9 Podcast. Michael Govier, Eric Brancham, Travis Roy. We're coming to you to talk about Last of the Mohicans. That'll be the main course today. Does it hold up or not? Eric Brancham chose that film. He'll tell you why, and we'll get into a whole host of topics related to that film. Of course, Cinema9Pod at ProtonMail.com. We have a new logo as well. We want to get your thoughts on our new logo. Let us know. Thank you again to Mr. Christian Haraminski for doing a fine job with the logo.
Absolutely.
It was a challenge, and he didn't have to do that. So thank you, Christian. If you're hearing this now or seeing it live, we salute you. Travis Roy, you live in Hazel Park, Michigan, and do you think that you'll be doing a logo maybe of your own at some point? I don't know what's happening.
Rough start today, but no, we're doing good. I'm doing all right, man. It was a big day for me yesterday. I officially withdrew from the PhD program that I've been in.
Wow.
I'm still a teacher, and I can still teach as an adjunct, but I happily have left academia, and I would say that like a giant pressure has lifted off me, but I've been checked out for so long that the pressure had basically already left. This was just making official something that making official the contract my body had already signed, I guess, when I just got checked out mentally and physically. So I'm doing pretty good.
It's a good run, Kev. Had to close out sometime.
Happy with the Masters.
Yay! No regrets?
No regrets.
Okay, that's good. Eric Brancham, maybe you'll, you don't have to mute your mic anymore, Eric. This is a new day. You can always stay unmuted. Believe it or not, it's a true story.
I'm so excited not only to have this microphone, but to know that after the show, I'm going to be able to eat this beautiful cake I baked myself. It's going to be fucking awesome.
What kind of cake?
A white cake.
White cake?
Yeah, you never heard of white cakes? Like white cake, then white frosting.
I heard Hoyt. I'm like,
yeah, he
white,
really pushed
white,
it.
white.
He pushed it.
Character from True Blood.
Yeah, it's a training day tribute cake. Officer Hoyt baked a cake today.
Hey, 20-year anniversary of training day. That's a good idea, actually. Is that what
Unbelievable.
the cake's for?
Happy anniversary.
No, but
20th anniversary of 9/11 coming up. So you baking a cake for all the people that died?
why not? Yeah, why not?
That would be nice. Or you could bake a cake for my 20th anniversary of being 21 years old. That'd be cool too.
Or we could start the show over again. What's your choice?
Yeah, this feels like a watch. No one's even watching at this point anyway. It's only 3 minutes in. We could just start right over. No one would even know.
That's true. But no one's gonna edit that. So yeah. Well, anyways, Cinema 9 Pod. Eric's baking cakes. Travis is dropping his PhD. What am I doing? I don't know. I don't really have. I'm sure there's something happening.
Living in Waco?
How are you,
I'm working out. Not too bad, I'm working out here with the Branch Davidians to try to rebirth. There are surviving members, even though they weren't at the actual compound. They were scattered around the country. They're trying to regroup here in my current compound in Wayne County, Michigan.
For anyone confused right now, Mike lives in a sprawling, I don't know, megaplex. I don't know what it is.
I told you guys, it's a former veterinarian. It used to be a veterinarian hospital, but like a big, healthy piece of land and a barn and all that shit, and now it's nothing.
Just you. No
now
horses, no rabbits.
There's a shitload of kennels over here, like stacked up, like 20 of them back there. It's really weird. Anybody needs extra kennels, we have them back here for free.
Empty kennels. This sounds like a place where people murder people. This like an abandoned veterinary. Are you a serial killer, Mike?
I think we're getting to a point where you guys are going to write the script. We're actually going to shoot a scary movie on this property. I think
would be fucking awesome.
That is where all this is leading to. We didn't even know it.
Oh, wow. Full circle.
Yeah. I mean, you guys, you'll do all the writing and stuff. I'm happy to be on the crew and, work camera or anything if you need it. So
you can produce. Executive producer, Mike Govier.
Yeah.
Location
I'll work the
scout.
catering. Yes. Line producer.
Yeah.
I found the one place. That's it. Anyways, everything's moving along here. July. What day is this? July 15th. Yeah, we're halfway through July, and Eric and I got some birthdays coming up next month. That's fun, right?
It's the 27th anniversary of the day I got my Super Nintendo. That's kind of a fun fact. I'll always remember July 15th. Then the night I got my Super Nintendo, my dad took me to see Wolf. So July 15, 1994 was a great day.
Oh.
Sounds like a good day.
Yeah.
So he didn't take you to see the previous Jack Nicholson effort from 1992.
Well, you couldn't on that day.
No, but the one I texted you guys about the other day, remember?
Oh, Man Trouble, which
Yeah.
you asked me about Man Trouble, and my response was like shit movie or something. And the reality is I watched that when it was new, but I had the savvy of a 12-year-old to be like, yeah, this is no good. I don't think I don't need to revisit as an adult.
I never heard of it, and I've never seen it, and the trailer looks so dumb. It looks
awful.
like yeah. Okay, well, I got to find out for myself.
You let us know.
That's another catalog I got to close out because I've never seen truly every Nicholson film, like every single one.
He's got a lot more early on ones than you would think.
He does.
Yeah.
There's stuff in the 70s and 80s I haven't seen, particularly the 80s. Well, actually, I saw most of the 80s. I've seen like
Heartburn.
Heartburn, yeah.
Oh,
and
terrible.
I told you I watched Ironweed, but I turned it off. I just was
Loved
like,
it.
wasn't feeling it. So, anyways, yeah, Jack Nicholson's still alive, and his final role was in a movie.
How do you know? Yeah, how do you know?
That's right.
How do you know?
That was it. That's how he went out, and it's been 11 years, so I don't think we're getting another role from him.
No, he's like officially retired. I'm pretty sure
he is. All right, yeah. So, has anyone else been to the movies, by the way, recently, like the actual theater again? Besides you went to see Black Widow last week, which you told us about.
I saw Black Widow last week. I was going to go tonight, but I'm here for the podcast. But and I have a busy weekend planned. But I'm thinking Sunday night I'm going to go see the new Nicolas Cage offering Pig.
There it is. Yeah, it's playing here too. I was thinking about it in the main theater, in an old like 100-year-old theater. I would love to go see Pig.
Yeah, I'm going to see that.
I'm blown away that the Suicide Squad's coming out in a couple weeks. Like it's actually happening. Like it just seemed like it was. It really is. It's coming out first week of August, just like the last one did in 2016. And I was like, whoa! It seemed like this was a lifetime away. Like James Gunn had so much other work to do, and then we had the COVID delay, but it's here. And I'm like, shit, is this going to be any good? I don't know.
I'm sure it'll be. I have every confidence it'll be good.
You do?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think James Gunn is. I mean, I trust him. I trust him to make a good movie, and I'm not heavily invested in anything DC. So like, I'm going in with like no stakes for me. I don't care. You got
especially with the Suicide Squad property as it already is,
right? And he prominently uses David Dasmalkian, who I'm a big fan of. He's playing the polka dot guy. Yeah. And
Sly Stallone's the voice of the Sharkhead guy.
Yeah, so we're getting both Sly and Dasmalkian both have made appearances in the MCU as well. So we're gonna get a little bleed over. I imagine Michael Rooker must be in Suicide Squad because it's a James Gunn film. I can only assume it's got Michael Rooker in it because he's in every other fucking movie. Yeah. But
you think he'll be naked like he was in Mallrats?
God, I hope so.
Butt naked, beautiful. He got so pumped up with that towel coming off. Anyways, don't forget Mallrats has an alternate opening movie too, which is so fucking weird. There's also several versions of Last of the Mohicans, which we'll get to later in the show.
There is.
Which we'll talk about, which could be confusing for some people. Anywho, time for quarantine viewing picks. Travis, you alluded to the fact that you might go to the theater this weekend, but what did you watch over the last 7 days? Well, actually 5 days. Yeah, we did a show on Sunday.
Yeah, our schedule was a little off. So I watched a few less movies, and also it's been a busy week. Still in school or at the end of school where I teach. So it's been a busy week, but I watched a movie called Vicious Fun from 2020 made for Shudder. Kind of a like, these Shudder movies definitely have kind of a similar vibe. They all kind of feel like VFW, which isn't a Shudder movie, but they all kind of seem like it. Or at least like the look, not necessarily like the plot or anything, but Vicious Fun it was all right. A kid kind of stumbles into a serial killer's self-help group and has to like fake it through it kind of thing. It's kind of fun. I watched Jennifer's Body. I've heard about this movie because 2009. It shows up on all these lists as being like, I promise it's really good. And I'm like, all right, finally, I'll bite. And yeah, it was pretty good. Megan Fox was totally good in it. She was perfect for the role. Amanda Seyfried, early starring role for her, and you got J.K. Simmons inexplicably pudgy with a red like toupee on and a hook for a hand that serves no function to the story whatsoever. Like this character just has one hand as a hook and he like uses it. He's a teacher. Like he's not like a scary guy. It's very strange, but it was worth seeing.
They let a teacher have a hook like that in the school. It seems hazardous.
No. I mean, it's that was the norm for a long time to have a hook hand. Like I've met guys with hook hands. Like it's you can't. What are you gonna do? Like
I'm picturing like a big fucking Captain Hook.
No,
fucking...
like the classic,
thing,
like tongs, like they're hooked, but like they're more like like bent tongs. And you can kind of like can pick things up with them. I don't know how they do it. Like they do a little elbow shuffle. It's pretty,
Mr. Tongs.
Yeah, I mean, pretty, it was very helpful for people that needed it until more recent.
Very helpful.
Right on.
I can only imagine. I've never had any limbs blown off, but if I did, I would hook it up. I watched Gunpowder Milkshake from which just came out, I think today. Actually, I watched it today. This movie owes a lot to movies that came before it. There's not a lot original happening here. It's very much in the line of like John Wick, which is in the line of Bourne Identity, which is kind of in the line, I think, of Jackie Chan. All of like these movies are like creative ways of killing people, which is one of these kind of movies, but it's like hyper stylized, mostly female.
Hobo with a shotgun?
No, there's no shotguns. Well, there's shotguns, but I mean, like they're like one person gets killed with like a bar of gold, for instance. So like using random things as weapons. No hobos yet. But what a fucking cast! You got Carla Gugino, you got Angela Bassett, you got Michelle Yeoh, Paul Giamatti. Ralph Ineson. This cast is just enormous, and then rounded in and led by Karen Gillan, Gillan. I always get her name.
Gillan.
I think it's Gillan. Yeah. But this one between this role and Lena Headey, right? She's fucking great. Yeah, this is a huge cast, and Karen Gillan leads it. And between this and her as Nebula, we got a real fucking action star in our hands. Like she is doing some awesome stuff in this, and really exciting direction too. Again, like not a lot of surprises here. Kind of a classic, or like. There's a typical way of doing action movies. They're sort of similar these days, but it's still fun. It's a fun fucking movie, and it's on Netflix. Check it out. But my main recommendation for the week was actually a documentary. I watched this documentary from 2014 called Lost Soul: The Doomed Journey of Richard Stanley's Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yes.
Now, I've seen Heart of Darkness about the making of Apocalypse Now. I've seen Lost in La Mancha about Terry Gilliam's, I can't say G names today. What's his name? Terry Gilliam, right?
Creed. I thought you got it right the first time. Terry Gilliam.
Well, I was all hung up on Karen Gillan. Anyways.
That's true.
But so like these movies, like, you had some bad weather. You're having like a mental breakdown. I have never seen a movie. Like, honestly, I did have to, after I watched this, rewatch The Island of Dr. Moreau, which, I'm not going to sit here and say it's good, but it's not nearly as bad as I remembered. Val Kilmer is fucking horrible. No, it's not good. It's not good.
I like the film.
I would not, weird. I would not argue that's a good film.
I read the book. I remember reading the book in high school.
But after watching the documentary and seeing the original, because it was directed by, it was supposed to be directed by this guy, Richard Stanley, who it got taken from him because basically Kilmer and Brando like elbowed him out, and he was replaced with John Frankenheimer, and you can kind of get a sense of where like what it was going for. But honestly, the documentary, like what went on behind the scenes, like the making of this film, way more entertaining than The Island of Dr. Moreau itself. And in fact, like as I'm watching by the end of the movie, I'm like, I would be totally down for watching not even just a movie, but like a limited series. I can imagine a limited series like about the making of The Island of Dr. Moreau, because like it was just so fucking nutty. I won't want to spoil anything, but for instance, the people in these animal costumes would be like dressed up in these animal costumes all day for literally months at a time at the whims of people like Kilmer and Brando, who would or would not show up to the set. So it's just these fucking people dressed like animals getting stoned and fucking each other all the time. It's just in the chaos of Australia. It's a pretty goddamn good documentary. So it's called Lost Soul, and I would strongly recommend it. It was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, that's a classic nightmare shoot for sure. Good call. Where's that available?
That's on Tubi. It's on Vudu. I think I watched it on Shudder. It's on a few things.
That means, but I believe you. I think other people do too. So, all right, great, good stuff.
Wait, you don't know what Tubi? Do you not know what Tubi, Vudu, or Shudder are?
I do know what Vudu is. I'll give you that. But the other, and you guys talk about Shudder, so technically,
we've talked about Tubi on this show.
It has everything, and it's free.
I've never been on Tubi ever. So.
Oh yeah, TUBI. It's great.
TUBI. Consider it a done deal. All right, I'll check it out. Cool. Eric Branstrom, Griffith, Indiana, movies. Tell us what you've been watching.
Yeah, busy week. Watched a ton of movies and some good ones. Some I went back and revisited Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It's been like 20 years. You know, I texted you, but the viewing audience must be reminded. This is fucking Stuart Gordon, Brian Yuzna screenplay of From Beyond and Reanimator fame. This is 80s schlock horror masters, right? Turning in this fun kids screenplay. It's still fun. It's charming and sweet. I cried when Auntie died, and I'm a 40-year-old man. So if it's been a while, I'd check in. It's a good time, man. Mike, I encourage you to take another look at this.
I've seen it recently.
Sweet, wholesome film.
The neighbors are assholes. We get it.
Yeah.
You know, that old bit. That's fun.
Yeah, Matt Frewer, fucking dickhead.
Oh, Matt Frewer.
Yeah. So Ewoks Battle for Endor. I gave a shot. I remember you were talking about Caravan of Courage.
Yeah,
so I was like, oh, fuck it. Like, fuck it. I'll watch Battle for Endor, dude. It's so bad. Like, not even the Ewoks. Like, the Ewok, it looks like Kmart Ewok masks. Like, the production level just completely plummeted. Terrible. I mean, terrible.
It's a made-for-TV canonical fucking Star Wars movie.
Canon. Yeah, it's unbelievable. And then staying on Disney Plus, I gotta tell you, man, you're gonna both laugh at me and go for it. I watched The Swiss Family Robinson from 1960. I fucking loved it, man. It's this wholesome, really sweet story. Gorgeous photography, and they brought in like every animal under the sun. They were all treated very well from everything I read. Because you know, if you got a kid riding like an ostrich, I'm gonna look it up and figure out like if they fucking like strangled the thing. But no animal mistreated. Just really sweet entertainment. I loved it.
Oh, 1960. We can't prove that.
Oh, yeah. It's a total fact, man. So I recommend checking in on that. Dude, talk about Jack Nicholson. I checked in with fucking Going South. You know how I always make fun of this cover box where like his dumb face is like looking through the news. He's like, oh, shit, they're going to hang me. For years, I was like, Jack Nicholson's my all-time favorite actor. And for years, I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. This looks so dumb. I did it. And it's fucking horrible, man. God bless this cast: Tracy Walter, Christopher Lloyd, Mary Steenburgen, and the great Nicholson. And he directs too. It's one of those movies that's like so unfunny you're embarrassed for the filmmakers and everyone involved. I can't recommend it at all, man. But Travis, I took you up on 2 of your recommendations, man, and I want to thank you for both of them. Host from last year,
good.
Loved it. Loved
so
it, man.
Fucking good.
To take a premise like this and be on the cusp with the pandemic and this Zoom thing and execute it this well. We got like all the kills are fucking cool and innovative. The dude gets his net in the pool and all that sort of stuff. Loved it. And for an hour, it just gets in and out. Loved it. Also checked in with
only COVID movie that I want. Sorry to interrupt, but just
dude,
like I'm not interested in any like the fucking Michael Bay COVID movie. Like I don't want COVID in the movies that I watch. But
it's Host and Inside. That's it. That's the two best COVID movies. Period. End of story. Checked in with Burnt Offerings. You recommended this last week. Fucking fantastic, man. I've never quite seen a haunted house film told this way, where it's not just in your face monsters and ghosts. It's just this eeriness of the house and the atmosphere. The acting was outstanding. Oliver Reed was superb. He was so fucking scary. I'm sorry, but
there's pathos there too, right? Like
man. Like you talk about like something like I'm not going to go there, but you take The Shining, where you got a father like trying to kill his own son, and imagine the terror of being scared of your own dad. I'm sorry, but this almost does just that one element even better. It's fucking terrifying on both sides. You can tell the kid is fucking scared. The dad's scared about what he's almost doing to us. Loved it, man. Burnt Offering is one of the most underrated horror films of the 70s.
You'll remember, like last week, I was like trying to kind of explain it. I'm like, I'm like, it doesn't sound very original as I'm explaining it, but I swear it's done differently. And Betty Davis, also, I forgot to mention last week. Betty Davis is fucking awesome in it.
Off the charts, man. I love it, man. So just a couple of more. I checked in with 2 documentaries. The first one was Horror Noir on Shudder. It's about the history of Black Americans in horror movies, going all the way back to D.W. Griffith and D.W. Griffith and those horrific treatments, all the way up to present day, and just how they've been pigeonholed and how they came out in their own, and how much Night of the Living Dead helped out, and even shit like Tales from the Hood, which when you watch that's a really fucking interesting movie as far as social commentary is concerned. Love the documentary, man. Tony Todd checks in. Keith David checks in. Yeah, great fucking stuff, man. Yeah. And then Class Action Park. This is a HBO Max documentary about this famous amusement park in the 80s in New Jersey called Action Park, jokingly colloquially called Traction Park, because so
did
many
Knoxville
people
make that happen?
Got hurt on it. I heard him talking about it. A friend of mine used to live down the street from it, and he's got his own stories about it. Great documentary if you're just up for like an hour and a half of just dumb fun and how oblivious these people were in the 80s. There's no standards. There's no regulations. It's just everything's totally different. So good doc.
Still a lot of free-for-all, no regulations in this country, Eric, believe it or not.
You don't say.
I'm just saying, in other parts of the country.
Big tech? All right, and that's it. Some
watch out for
titles.
Big Pizza. Big Pizza's going to get you guys.
Big Pizza.
Don't let Big Pizza win, guys.
What about you, Mike?
Stupid. These fucks adopt the fucking buzzwords and the zeitgeist and try to turn it against us. Fuck Little Caesars.
Fucking stupid, man.
It pisses me off. Well, Eric, I don't know if this is what you were talking about, but I could not stop watching all of these WWE Legends biographies.
I'm telling you, they're all so good,
Is that the ones you were talking about earlier?
Yeah, on Biography Channel.
Oh, yeah.
Ultimate Warrior, Bret the Hitman Hart, Randy Savage.
Roddy Piper.
Fucking amazing.
The Roddy Piper one got me in. That's what got me in. Because I like Roddy. I think he's a funny guy. He was an interesting character back in the 80s. And They Live is, it's a fun movie. I like it. It's a John Carpenter movie, too. So it's also sad. And surprisingly, 5 of the 8 that they did the documentaries on are alive. Only 3 are dead. So that's good, right? Roddy Piper, Macho Man, and Ultimate Warrior, all dead.
Yeah.
But they just told these stories of people I didn't really give a shit about, like Booker T. I didn't know who the fuck Booker T was.
I had no clue who he was, but I watched it. I was like, this guy is fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah, I was totally like, I could care less. He wasn't even my youth. It wasn't a nostalgic factor, but they sold me on. This guy was so positive and like inspiring in his story. It got me. I could. Yeah,
a wrestler,
not Booker T. Washington, not Booker T. Booker T. the wrestler.
Booker T. the wrestler, the wrestling superstar.
Could he Booker G. just to mix it up a little?
He is black. He was one of the
he's
biggest black superstars of all time that really was given the opportunity to do so. But he made it happen. I would strongly recommend it. It really blew my mind. I couldn't believe it.
That's cool.
I couldn't
care
less.
What was that tag team call that Booker T. was in originally? Had like
Harlem Heat. Harlem Heat. That's a great. They were from South Texas. They were from South Texas, and they fooled everybody to think they were from Harlem. People would come up and be like, "Hey, I remember you in grade school." And he'd be like, "Yeah, that was me."
So good, man. God, rest in peace, Piper, man. Loved them.
Yeah, that's tough. But I couldn't believe how good they were. I just wanted to make a point of that. And I know this is a movie. This is a movie show, but I want to watch Loki, Travis. I definitely listen to what you said. I took that to heart. I'm going to watch it.
So good.
Watch it. I'm going to.
I know
really want to. But
you'll be glad.
I got this fucking Ted Lasso show in my. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how good it was.
I hear great things.
I couldn't. I'm blown away. I had no expectations. Like, what is this? Ted Lasso? What the hell? Soccer? Who care less? And then I just was like emotionally charged by the end of it. I couldn't believe how inspiring and refreshing it was. I was stunned. I was blown away. And I'm not making light of it. It really was authentically well done with great jokes. And a lot of nuggets about pop culture, but genuine, heartfelt connections.
Well, it was just showered with Emmy nominations, yesterday or today? So.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the season 2 starts next week, so I had never heard of it. I blew that out. So I'll watch Loki next for sure, but Ted Lasso is a revelation, and I'm strongly going to recommend that both of you guys watch it because
I'm going to. I've heard too many good things.
Who cares about soccer? I'm not a big soccer guy at all.
So this is like the guy on SNL sketch is like wisecracks, like commentator, like.
Well, they did an actual NBC Sports bit using him when he was still with SNL, but for like NBC Sports promoting the new Premier League, which they got coverage of in 2013. It's Because it had that weird credit in the show when it does the credits, like originally credited to NBC Sports. Like what? I've never seen a credit like that.
It's a fascinating evolution of a character. I mean, like he's like, for this being the first season of his show, he's been like around for years in a way.
Yeah, it's really odd, but
it's the guy that would be like, brought to you by Vagisil and all that sort of funny stuff on SNL.
No, that was more Bozo. Him and Will Forte being like the Bozo.
That was Ted Lasso, wasn't it? Or was that a completely different character?
Maybe it was.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure he started on SNL, then moved that to the sports show where he'd kind of like show up every now and then, and like
he could have used the name for both.
Yeah, that's what, as I understand it. I never saw him on SNL, but I did see. Amazingly somehow I saw him on some of the NBC stuff.
Man, so this is on Apple, right? So between this and this morning show business, Mike is talking up.
They're hitting big. They're hitting big. That's only 2 shows I've seen on Apple TV, but they're really good. They're like above average, like top notch. So
tempting me to watch TV again, almost.
Yeah, almost.
Careful, be very careful.
Be careful.
You know how that
goes.
Very,
very careful.
Let's go.
You know how that goes.
Why was it told about this? Who's in charge?
I guess I got consumed by all that. That was pretty much it. I forgot to mention I watched UHF a couple weeks ago. I don't know if I'd ever seen the whole movie. I really couldn't remember.
What?
I remember the talk and remember scenes, but I'm talking about sitting down and actually seeing it. I just don't know if I'd honestly sat through it in entirety. But it was.
Don't worry, I saw it enough for all 3 of them.
Yeah, no, trust me.
Yeah, I think it's a friend of the show, Aaron's one of his favorite movies too. Jesus. So he's a huge Weird Al fan. I thought it was really funny. It was great. It's still funny today. It's hilarious. Dumb as hell. But
I'll just think about it and I'll laugh out loud. That's how funny it was. It's a shame they never did another movie because I'm telling you, it's so fucking hilarious.
Not too late.
I wonder what happened there.
I hope I mean, like,
it's getting kind of late though.
It's getting a little late in the day.
A little late.
You're right, but I would if he did something now, I would go to theaters to see it.
Hey, RJ.
Hey, this movie exists. I'm not recommending it, but I'm just letting you know it exists.
Hell?
Showgirls 2, Pennies from Heaven.
I'm going to skip that one.
I turned it off after about 20 minutes, but I really gave it a shot.
Okay.
It basically takes one of the characters that was a side character, hardly a part of the movie, a very side bit, and tries to focus on Penny. It's her career now, and it's in 2011. It's like almost 20 years later. It's insane. It's so insane that it even exists. I don't know how it got made, and I couldn't believe I found it. I'm going to give Russell a shout out from that one. Russell, where did you find that movie, and why is it in your library? I'm just going to throw that out there. I'll leave you to answer that. I couldn't believe when I saw it. Fucking Enemy Mine is so dumb. I tried to watch it. I tried to finish it. This Louis Gossett. Funny. It's like funny. I could not laugh. So I laughed all the time. Pretty good makeup though.
Yeah, good makeup. I mean, for the time. I mean, I remember when last time I saw it, it was new, so I was like 5. But for the time, it was like it pushed sci-fi forward some, right?
Our back.
It was popular. That and Kroll, right? Like
That's true. Yeah, they did get they got a fair amount of run. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'll leave it there. Good times are coming. Other opportunities, Ed. I think I mentioned the Agent Orange doc last week. So
you did.
Yeah. Okay, great. Cool. There it is. That is our quarantine viewing picks. We got other stuff. I did finish No Sudden Move. I did finish it. So I said I only watched the first 30 minutes last week.
Right.
And it's not bad.
Worth seeing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I'll leave
that's our review. Yeah.
It's nice job, Soderbergh. And I mean, nothing amazing, but you got the job done. And I'll give you 3 stars, 3.5 stars out of 5, 3, maybe 2 3/4 out of 4. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a slightly above the middle kind of movie, but it's good. I mean, it's clearly a good movie.
And when I finished the movie too, I couldn't stop looking at those bending lens things on the edge every time. Yeah, I couldn't stop doing that. So
what the fuck?
Ruined it for me.
Maybe I should have pointed it out to you and to the rest of the audience.
Actually,
it's kind of hard not to notice.
I know. I really noticed it in a scene where Harbor's coming up to the front door of his house later in the movie. I was like, oh, good God. He
right. There's a few times where it's just like you can't help but notice it. You're like, what?
You can't. It's really
on
bizarre.
Here? What's going on here? Peter Andrew or whatever your name is when you are pretending you're a cinematographer, Steven Soderbergh. That's his father's
Also,
name. He uses his father's name because he actually does the cinematography himself for his movie. So he uses his father's name as cinematographer, and he does the editing and uses his mother's name as the editor. But it's all him.
I love Soderbergh, and I didn't even know that. I never dug that far. Well done. Nice little. That's a good nugget right there.
It's a fun fact.
I also didn't give David Harbour credit for. I know I ripped on Black Widow a bit, but I thought Harbour was like the highlight of the film in that movie. He was so fun and goofy and stupid as the Red Guardian. I liked it. He brought a lot of levity to the movie that was needed. And I enjoyed that. So want to give you credit, Mr. Harbour. Good job. All right, Cinema 9 Podcast. Cinema 9 Pod at protonmail.com. Cinema 9 Pod on all your favorite social medias. The ones that, tuck you in at night and get you all comfy and cozy as you get ready for bed. Look at your Instagram and you wish you could be someone else. Stuff like that. I get it. I understand it. I've been there.
Getting that blue glow in your eyes right before sleep. Like you should.
But not quite like, there's nothing quite like that. Oh, shit. Was it Johnny's Cherokee was green? Damn it. I thought it was. Well, okay. Whatever.
What are you talking about?
You're
in a podcast right now, right?
I know, but a friend of the show, you guys can answer this. Do you remember Johnny's Cherokee? Our old pal Johnny T way back in the day? Was it green? Because I thought it was blue.
Oh, fucking John Takis?
Yeah, our old pal. Corey just texted me and said it was green. He wanted to bet me $5. So
audience members, people in Israel and Pakistan, by all means, chime in. Let us know what color was this guy's truck you've never met.
Yeah, 2001, 2002. Let us know if you were in Brighton, Michigan, Osborne Lake area. Thought Eric lived over there. He might have noticed it. He was right there, like all the time. So I actually thought he could actually answer that, but that's okay. I'll let it.
It was blue.
I thought it was blue. I'm telling you, the goddamn bar is blue.
The actual answer is blue.
Actually, no, it's not. All right. Did you guys post any good reviews, by the way, recently on there?
We're on Instagram. We haven't reviewed stuff in a while, but we, check out our Instagram account. And of course, as we always ask, please drop us a review, a 5-star review if you can on the Apple podcast. We don't ask for much. We don't want your money. But if you want to support the show, tell a friend about us or leave a 5-star review if you would. Thanks.
Okay. Well, I know we say no emails, but we have 2 emails, guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is from friend of the show, Chad, who's on to bigger and better things. We know him well. Hey, Cinema 9, stalwart listener, Chad Gibbons here. Stalwart listener. That's
good word.
Like filling my call for an email on last week's episode. Not sure what you're looking for, so I threw together a Python script that searches through the Cinema 9 transcripts that YouTube makes for each of your videos. Wow.
What?
That is so beyond us.
Wow.
I'm confused right now.
And I tracked every time the word society is said in the podcast. I've attached a chart of my findings to this email for you to take a look at. Keep on choogling. P.S. Is this the actual count? I did this. Well, according to this chart, yeah, we had a record high on the Dogma episode. Of 14 on the Dogma episode, which is by far more than any other 1-hour photo the week before, being second at 8. So we must have been on a 2-week society kick.
I mean, and when you say we, who do you really mean?
Well, I started, but you'll start and tagging it. You'll start saying it. So you're going to get those numbers up too.
Yeah.
I'm definitely the guy who instigates it, though, without a doubt.
This is your thing.
Other runner-ups.
Think it's funny.
It's society will always be funny. A couple other runner-ups. Closer had 4. And Falling Down had 5. Yeah, you would expect a few more of those on. That was a while back. So the lowest one, 0 for Good Girl, 0 for Get Shorty.
Wow.
So
could he do it again and look up the words Paul Schrader?
Yes. Now that is something to work on, Chad. That would be amazing. That would be incredible. Wow. And last week's show, by the way, we only said it once. So
I know. Well, I got it in this time.
Yeah, this week.
Paul Schrader.
Jesus. Next episode's from Aaron. It says, killing them thoughtfully. Ooh, very lovely.
All right.
A few things quickly. I really enjoyed this movie. I took the money value stuff as a parody. They valued seemingly low amounts, discussion in the car about the cost of a sex worker, whereas the oligarchy during the crisis didn't value enormous sums of money. They gave that shit out willy-nilly, disappearing into the deep pockets of the elite. Also, my favorite moment is when dude asked Brad Pitt not to smoke in his car. I love that little moment where he considers the request, but then lights up anyway. Good stuff. The last few lines Brad speaks are terrific. Like I told Travis, I too am an average white guy disappointed with the status quo. Also, I'm going to buy a boat.
All right. Thanks,
Yeah.
Judd Bud.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Take me out on your boat.
He always said he would buy a boat. That's true. I guess that was inevitable. He wants to tool around on the rivers of good old Maryland.
It's the American
All right.
dream, man.
Beautiful.
It is.
Own a boat.
Now fucking pay me. All
That's
right,
right.
here we go. It's time to
pay.
get into it. Eric Branstrom, you chose Last of the Mohicans for our Does It Hold Up segment, a 1992 film directed by the one and only Michael Mann. Luke, where are you? Luke, are you out there? And starring Daniel Day-Lewis and a host of other people. So, which I think is a funny way to put it, and I did that intentionally in case you were. If you don't know me, just want to put that out there.
Yeah, man.
Travis, let's start with you though. Travis, come on. When was the first time you saw this film?
Well.
Oh, he's here. He's here, by the way. There he is. Hi, Luke.
There it is.
All right, friend of the show,
Don't
Luke
hold back,
Horovic.
Luke.
We used to live with him, Mike, as you might recall.
Yeah.
And as we were saying before the show, it amazes me that you did not watch this movie when you and I lived with him, because I watched that was my first time watching it, was with him, and then like it would finish and then he would just get up and hit rewind and hit play again, and we're like, all right, we're going right back in for round two. Like that was how we rolled when we lived together. We just watched the same 5 movies 50 times in a row.
Certainly not sober though. Let's make that clear.
We were 22, 23. I don't think we did anything sober that entire year. So I watched it then, and I had kind of like whatever feelings about it. I liked it because I respected it because Luke loved it, and I respect Luke. And then I read the book, and after I read the book, I'm like, oh, I should watch the movie. And that was the last time I watched it, which was probably like, I don't know, I was like 24, 25. And like, a book written, I didn't check the date. I want to say it was when was it written?
1820s?
I was going to say 1870s, but I'm not sure. Somewhere in the 1800s, right? Like it's a 19th
He died in
century
1851.
book.
So
Okay, so maybe 1820s or 18. So, anyways, it's a 19th century book, right? So you expect some updates, some changes, and that makes sense. But my take was that like it was so grossly far afield from a really fantastic book, like that still is good. Like I would recommend it. It's a good goddamn book. Yeah, it's good. But like the changes were so sweeping. And in some ways it just utterly befuddled me. Like the characters of Cora and I forget the sister's name, the one that doesn't speak, jumps off a cliff. Alice. Yeah, those two characters in the book, they're switched. The names are switched, and for some reason they've switched them they switched them in the movie. I'm like, why would you even do that? Like, it's just a fucking name. Like, what? Why would you? It's just like simple stuff. So I was pretty frustrated with it, and I haven't watched it since. And Eric, I am glad that you chose it. Like, I know that when you brought it up last week, like I was kind of like, fuck, and you were understandably confused because like you and I had talked about doing this on a show anyways before. Yeah, I was not enthusiastic to watch this movie.
Wow. Well, we got that from last week's show, so that didn't change. Good to know. But the book thing, I have a lot more questions about that. Eric, you chose this movie.
Yeah, I did.
Take us back in time, my friend.
I chose it because I remembered how much fun I had on our Legends of the Fall episode, mostly because we had an opportunity to talk about historical fiction, for what it was. And it's been a long time since we've taken ourselves back to that era. Yeah, dude, I used to watch this all the time, man. Petrucci and Tim Rufer would always talk about this in high school. And then when I first saw it, I was just blown away. And I'd watch it over and over and over again. But it's been 25 years. And mostly last time, it reminded me to watch it because I watched Dances with Wolves a couple years ago. And I was like, fuck me. Like, it was so different than what I remember it being. It's just this saccharine romanticism bullshit. So I was worried, is Last of the Mohicans the same thing? So for a while I was afraid to rewatch it. So I brought it on to the show, and I'm glad I did. I've got a copy of the Fenimore Cooper book here, from what I understand, Michael Mann he grew up watching the 1936 Randolph Scott film. So he based his screenplay mostly on that picture, which is understandable. He himself says, hey, come on, this is like a field guide for this era. But this movie is what I grew up on. I want to update this film as opposed to this much different book. So, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't notice that until for the first time. I noticed it in the opening credits when I watched it last night. And had I noticed that the last time I watched it, maybe I would have been a little less critical.
That is very interesting. I kudos to him for saying, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna credit this earlier movie and this earlier screenplay. You do not see that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Saccharine Romanticism. That was the name of our first emo band, I think.
You do see it.
Sounds right.
You do see it with The Thing and Who Goes There and The Thing from Outer Space.
Who goes there? You brought up Legend of the Fall, man. I'm just gonna start doing my hop.
Yeah. Quasimodo Popeye.
Oh, is that what you were doing? I thought you were doing fucking Frankenstein. I'm like, why is he doing Frankenstein?
Like, fuck you, bad.
Colonel Ludlow, sir.
Screw the government.
I wonder if he laughed. I wonder if somebody told him, "Hey, you were really great in Legends of the Fall, Anthony, but I fucking laughed when you had that stroke. It was just funny." I wonder if he laughed. Like, I can see that's funny. I get it. Yeah. I mean, I did do that movie with the, the dummy and stuff. So, I mean,
magic. Great movie.
I thought about it. I think Instinct with Cuba Gooding Jr. was probably more embarrassing because he pretended he was an ape through the whole thing.
Oh boy! Wow.
Oh my God. Yeah,
that was a bad movie.
Instinct.
Well, as far as I remembered, and I like to think I have a decent memory, but I never saw this movie. I never sat down and watched it.
Unbelievable.
Like I said, I've seen clips. I passed through. I know it's about Native Americans. That was something I had in my mind. That was about it. I really
gave it away.
I don't know. There's not the lead character didn't. I will tell you this, that it was a movie that everybody raved about, and it seemed like a time-consuming affair at the time. I was younger, maybe a little more short attention span. I'm like, oh God, I got to sit through this. And I was into history though and stuff too. So it's kind of weird that I wouldn't. I know a lot of this doesn't make sense, and that's okay.
I call that the English Patient effect, where it just looks so long and boring that you stay away. I still have not seen that movie.
I've never seen that one either. That's so funny.
I have. You guys can stay away.
Okay, good. I intend to.
I often mix that one up with The Constant Gardener, just because they both have Ray Fiennes. And
Constant Runtime?
But The Constant Gardener is way better.
I think they're the same director, right? I believe they were.
I think could be true as well. Okay. At any rate, never saw it. And if Luke and you guys are sitting there watching that, I remember the Rounders runs, the Ravenous runs, all that stuff, everything.
Burly,
I remember all the other runs.
Burly.
So. Oh yeah, of course. But yeah, I just kind of passed through on this one, so I don't have a recollection, a memory, a recall, and that's okay, and that's good. This was my first viewing, first time I've seen this movie, and I sat down and watched it, and I watched it on YouTube. So, real quickly, is this the current Mann cut? Or what do we know about these different cuts?
So I watched the YouTube, the free one that's on YouTube as well.
That's what I did.
That's a theatrical cut. Eric, you watched the definitive director's cut. Is that correct?
Definitive cut, which is one of the only instances where a director's cut is shorter than the theatrical cut. From what I understand.
I thought it was only a couple minutes longer. Yeah, it wasn't much of a difference, right?
Not much. I actually went to some website that broke down the differences between the two before I found it on YouTube, because I was like, oh, what am I gonna? I was trying to judge which one I should watch here. It doesn't look like there was a world of difference. Honestly, it looks
probably
like
some marketing ploy to get you to buy it. Oh, there's a new cut, buy it.
Well, it was Michael Mann did it. It's his second director's cut for the movie. He did a director's cut, and then he came back when the Blu-ray edition came out to do the definitive director's cut, and it's like. And both times it's like he seemingly barely changed anything.
That's the thing,
slight tweaks.
He turned in a 3.5 hour cut to the studio, and yet when he finally has the opportunity to have a director's cut, he has 2 minutes. What the fuck?
Imagine another hour and a half on this thing.
So if you saw the director's cut, real quick, Eric, did they take out the line where Hawkeye says, "You and me are going to have the disagreement later on"?
From what I understand, that was a part of it, but I saw it in my cut. Really? I think he ended up putting it back in. He took it out and then he put it back in.
So he took it out for the director's cut and then put it back in for the.
Put it back in.
Yeah. And when he said that line, I'm thinking to myself, "Aren't you guys having a disagreement right now?"
That's what I thought. This is it.
What are you doing right now? You fucking sedition. I don't get. Okay, whatever. Yeah, that's funny. That's a great point. I did not look at the IMDb score. I'm really excited to find out what this one. I really wanted to know this one. So
I'm sure people love it. It's
Yeah,
widely respected, right?
Michael Mann, Daniel Day-Lewis alone, those names, whether you like the movie or not, they carry a lot of water. So, you going to go above 8 or not?
I'm not going above 8. Fuck,
Okay.
no. I'm going to say 7-4.
Oh, I would say at least 7-8.
I looked.
What do you got?
What is it?
7-7.
Yeah.
7-7.
Okay.
You win,
I
Michael.
thought it was higher. All right. Well, that makes sense.
Price is Right rules.
By the way, Luke, Rounders and Ravenous. Oh boy. Again,
Get it.
he states these things, and I don't know what. Yeah, we just talked about it, Luke. That's
Yeah.
right. If you have anything,
he's reminiscing. He's reminiscing.
it's like he's here. Yeah, it's difficult when you're not here with us. As far as Rotten Tomatoes go, we got a lot of people talking about this movie because it's a big deal, whether you like it or not, or you find the film to be a challenge. There's a lot of opinions about this movie, and we're going to give them to you because that's what we do here on the Cinema 9 podcast. Critics, 93. Very fresh.
Whoa.
Yeah, right?
Critics love it.
And the audience right behind him at 88. So it's a tight-knit group on this one, which I'm actually surprised a little bit by, but okay.
I'm surprised the IMDb score isn't even higher than with that. That's a pretty,
right?
That's a pretty high Rotten Tomatoes rating.
Actually, there's only 3 pages of reviews on this one. Shit, wow. I thought there'd be way more. That's very minimal.
We got
David. Yeah. I'm looking. David Anson says of Newsweek, The Last of the Mohicans gets off to a bumpy start, gathers feeling and momentum, and comes roaring into the home stretch at full gallop. When this historical adventure kicks in, it's thrilling in the way old-fashioned epics used to be.
Doesn't he mean it got off to a bumpo start?
Natty Bumpo!
Natty Bumpo!
Natty Bumpo! Natty Bumpo!
Natty Bumpo! Natty Bumpo!
Natty Bumpo! Natty Bumpo! Yes, the original character was called Nathaniel Bumpo.
That was one of the things watching it this time. I made a note. I'm like, okay, I have to accept that this isn't Natty Bumpo. This is Nathaniel. That was one of the big problems I have with the book verse. I said it right, Natty Bumpo. From the book, that was one of the big problems I had from the book version to the movie version. That was that like the character is vastly different. Like the character in the book, he's fucking Deadpool, man. This guy's just like every fucking minute he's just like rattling something off. He won't shut the fuck up, and it's just like and kind of actually funny, even like 150 years later or whatever,
Really?
or 200 years later. But
Wow.
this Hawkeye is very serious,
Oh.
very
I never.
locks and manes and like seriousness.
Oh.
Would you forsake a year of your life to have that gorgeous hair sported by Daniel Day-Lewis?
God, no.
I absolutely would. I don't know what are you talking about.
You've already got a full head of hair. What do you
Not like
just
that.
grow your hair out?
That's the dream.
Yeah,
No,
give it a shot. Go for it, dude. You're still
Do it.
alive.
Yeah. What's stopping you?
Yeah.
I would be like the Cruella de Vil, but only for like Daniel Day-Lewis's hair. Like
You look like Davey Havoc from AFI.
that would be so awesome.
Please don't grow your hair out.
Yeah.
I really want to do that.
Wow. Baby Havoc. Peter Travers says, the action is richly detailed and thrillingly staged. Thanks.
Thank you, Peter. Come on, dude.
Old pal Roger Ebert says, not as authentic and uncompromised as it claims to be. More of a matinee fantasy than it wants to admit, but it is probably more entertaining as a result.
Okay.
And then our good pal Destin Thompson. Destin!
Oh, we got him.
That's in Howl back then, I believe.
Well, this is from January of 2000. Man wasn't thinking story. He was thinking scheme. Keep the eyes and ears dazzled, he reasons, and the substance will follow.
I don't know. I like this story. I think it's a fucking great story. But
You do?
yeah,
Wait. Like first off, the love story? Like, come on. Why does it have to be a love story?
So
I got an issue with that. But
that is the main problem I had from the book to the movie. There's no love story in the book.
I knew it.
There's no love story in the book, and they Hollywoodized it, and all that
Really?
sweeping drama that, like, I understand because it's fucking Hollywood, so it wasn't even this man doing it. It was the one, the movie that he was referencing. I'm sure that they did it too, but like in the book, Natty Bumpo is just like, hey man, I'm a businessman. I'm out here in the wilderness doing my thing, saving people, then moving on. Like I don't got time for love.
Right. And so, yes, we get Hollywood. We know what Hollywood does. We know that you mainstreamers, unfortunately, cannot watch a movie unless there's a love connection, which is fucking dumb. But maybe we're a little smarter than that. Give us a chance. There's a lot of people involved in this movie. A massive scale this film is. I'll give it a lot of credit. Michael Mann's his the Fort Henry scenes and all of the landscapes, all of the big battle scenes. They're massive, tons of extras, and that's really well done. Why do their lives matter any less than these two fucking people? It bothers me.
No,
I know that's what bothers me.
I mean, excuse me, but I love a good romance, and I think this movie lends itself to that opportunity to put it in there. It is a movie, aside from the book. For me, and while I like Cora, she has definitely some strong scenes in it where she speaks her mind. But I like the idea of them being interested with each other. I just don't like how the relationship is consummated. I think you could have gotten a lot more out of them having this desire that's never really.
How is it consummated?
Not physically, but emotionally.
That was one of the things
I really fuck in the fort there.
No,
like, you're just not seeing him.
Fuck, come on, fuck, the place is burning down.
I think they just kiss and hug, which I actually really like that they do.
Yeah.
It's just too hot to take all those clothes off back in those days, so he's just going up in there. That's what I thought was happening.
You may have been feeling it. I guess they kind of left it where you can assume that if you want to, but based on the standards of the day, I would have found that pretty unlikely.
Okay, fair enough. But the standards of the day don't apply here because it's
she was a lady.
Movie.
Yeah, but she was a lady too. Well, I mean, I'm just saying, they established this character anyway.
Dude, sometimes it's more passionate when you don't have all of that going on. It's just
body staring, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would the survival of the Mohicans be more important than their love affair?
So that's
would that be the top priority?
That is the big tragedy of the movie, right? To get to the end, the last actual Mohican who could actually have children dies. So this movie very much is about the end of the Mohicans, but at the same time, the movie starts and says that there's three men, the last of a vanishing race, or a vanishing people, rather. And it's the father, and it's Uncas, and what's his name? I don't know his name. The father, and then Uncas, and Nathaniel, which I really, really did like, though, that Nathaniel is immersed in Mohican culture. English is his second language. I thought that was really cool.
Oh, that is fun.
Yeah. And I believe it.
Chingachgook.
Chingachgook.
There's a G in there too. I don't know the language.
I'm going to call him the father. I'm just going to call him the father.
Okay, that'd be more appropriate to keep it like that. Uncas, the father, and Hawkeye. Yeah. Not the Hawkeye from the Marvel MCU universe, by the way. So
they don't even call. I mean, he's billed as Hawkeye, but they call him Nathaniel through the whole movie.
Did you see the TV show, by the way? Anybody?
Last of Mohicans TV show?
Hawkeye, the series?
Hawkeye, the series in the 90s? It happened.
Really continues.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
It didn't go over well. It didn't work.
I mean, so the book, Last of Mohicans is one of a series of books. The what they call the leather stocking books, I believe.
Yeah.
Deer Slayer is one of them.
Yeah. Deer Slayer, I think, was the first.
And by the way, it was written in 1826. So that was correct from early. Yeah.
Well done, Eric.
Hawkeye from MASH.
Hawkeye from MASH.
Well, Hawkeye from MASH was named after Hawkeye because Hawkeye's father on the show was a huge Last of the Mohicans fan. So you're right, Steve.
What? You're shitting me?
Dead serious.
That's awesome.
This is like MASH lineage. Holy fuck! Wow. That blew my mind. All right, so I don't know how to bring this up. Can we just get to it then?
Yeah, have at it.
Let's begin.
So I thought there was going to be a bigger problem. I actually thought that Daniel Day-Lewis had played a straight up non-white guy in this movie.
I was going to ask you that. I was like, Mike, did you think he's playing a Native American all this time? And you were like, oh boy, whitewashing hell. Here we go.
Mike sent us a text about calling it bigoted trash. I'm like,
I'm like,
this is a Last Samurai situation where people thought Last Samurai was like, well, Tom Cruise playing the samurai. No, he's not the Last Samurai, and that's the case here too. He's playing a white man.
I made an assumption, so I'll take that back. But he's still the savior.
Well,
so yeah, you're not wrong. But I do think that so as an American historian, you are too, Mike. You are too, Mike. But I mean, what we know about that time frame is that there was a lot of bleed over between cultures, right? You had this was a period when you started to get some American Indians would they would live in the outskirts or within white towns. Chingachgook. Yeah, thanks, Luke.
Thank you.
Anyway, it's the father, but where a bunch of where they that would happen, and then you would sometimes have white men, especially trappers or fur trappers, would just abandon white culture and this is superior, and like there was that kind of back and forth, and there was often they talk about Indian schools kind of to a degree, and it's really weird, this white kid got put into an Indian school, but it's still it was a messy time and place, and it does, I mean, I think it makes sense, especially also I think that readers in the 1820s white readers were not going to be on board with a Native American protagonist. They just weren't going to be to make Natty Bumppo was a white person, but immerse him in Mohican culture was a way to bridge that gap for white people and give them maybe not the most accurate, but something of a more understanding and affection for Native culture.
Well, still a fictional tale, right? A historical fiction. So
well, yes. I mean,
yeah. So that's a great.
But good historical fiction should be based in some sort of historicity.
Yeah,
right?
and this is definitely. I love the authenticity. I think they call them Creole people, but natives would trade. They would literally trade for young white people. They'd take in refugees. So this is something that wasn't uncommon. And
Cora was black in the book, though, right?
She was black in the book. Yeah.
She was.
She was half black.
Her mother was black anyway.
Yeah, right.
So Monroe, the guy who's her father, the British asshole
general, right?
That's right.
He took his wife or whatever he fathered her with was a black woman. So
probably
then that's why they call her the black haired,
dark hair. Yeah, well,
because she's supposed to be black.
I think she's half Costa Rican too. The actress,
right,
so.
but
what, Madeline Stowe?
Okay.
Yeah.
They're trying to stretch her lineage and heritage as much as possible to make it somewhat acceptable, but I don't know.
Were 1990s audiences prepared for a mixed race female protagonist? I mean, honestly,
Jungle Fever had come out the year before. I don't know.
Yeah. Jungle Fever came out before. That was Spike Lee, though. That Spike Lee is not Michael Mann.
That's true. Spike Lee is not Michael Mann. Although you just happen to name two of Luke's all-time favorite directors at the same time. That's pretty weird that you did that.
They're good ones.
Coincidence? I don't know.
Yes.
Okay, so I can live with that, but I'm going to give this movie massive credit for what you guys just both alluded to. The absolute melting pot of chaos in this movie is really well done. I was confused as fuck half the time. Who's who and what? Who are you? And why do we always see the red coats? The red coats are still something that we see today. But those fucking French uniforms are sweet. I love those blue.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see more of that. I wasn't even hardly aware of their lovely blue, light kind of pastel uniforms. Very classy.
One of the things I was thinking as I watched the movie about is it they can only be so accurate with history, historical fiction, because if they made it super accurate, for one, only the officers were wearing those kind of red coats, as I understand it at that time. But I'm pretty sure at that time still it was the archers would be in hot pink, and then the cavalry would be in bright yellow, and so that so the commander could be on a field from far away and tell his people apart from one another, and move like the giant chess game. But people used soldiers' uniforms, they used to look like fucking clowns by our standards, and it just would not translate.
But Magua, real quick, Eric, But Magua, I don't know who. I got confused with his story. It's he was a Mohawk. The Mohawks accepted him, and he's a Huron.
He's a Huron. He tells his story. He's a Huron, and while he's out hunting or something, his family is killed, and his children are killed, and his wife thinks that he's dead. Then he gets kidnapped into slavery by the Mohawks, which is common, and as part of the way that slavery typically worked with American Indians was it was kind of you'd be adopted into their family. So he pretended that he was part of the Mohawk family and then put himself into a position to betray his Mohawk family and and reconnected with his Hurons and set up that ambush.
Yeah.
But you make, just to get back I'm sorry, Eric, but just to finish up that point that you made about the messiness of it, that's one of the things, again, there's some really good historical accuracy here. To have most there's not a lot of movies about the French and Indian War because people can't really handle the idea of Indians were on both sides. Wait, I'm confused. I thought they were all the same.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, you can't talk about this movie without talking about the brilliance and the beauty of the great Wes Studi. And this character, Magua, God, I could talk about him all day. It's easy to write this character off as like this badass, cool villain. But you don't have to look at this character as a villain at all. In my opinion, he's entirely entitled to the revenge and the justice he's seeking out in his own heart. He does some questionable things and some things that I think Native Americans even have some issues with that I could get into. But he's such a brilliantly written character. These speeches he gives, I just love him so much. Wes Studi didn't even get a nomination for Best Supporting Actor. He's fucking awesome in the film.
As Nathaniel says, Magua is twisted, and he would become the thing that twisted him. And I think that makes a great villain, right? A sympathetic villain's always the best villain. Like you do understand Magua's motivations.
Yeah, well, he's a villain to Hawkeye and his Mohican friends. Right. But if this was just Magua's story, you would be like, yeah, fuck all these motherfuckers. They killed his family, and he's seeking revenge. What else do you want?
Right. Yeah. You cheer when he killed Monroe, but when you start to, like, you know, try and murder unarmed women and that kind of thing, it's like, all right, what are you doing? So that gets me to one of my biggest problems with the movie. I'm going to go ahead and get into it now. I've always had issues with the third act. I've always had issues with Nathaniel leaving the party. Like, just like, you can make the music swell as much as you want. You can have a nice little speech. I will come find you. But at the end of the day, like, hey, I love you. I'm leaving. Have a nice time. Hope they don't rape you. But like, also, sorry, cut that out. but also, like, he, not just like that risk, like, he knows that Magua had already tried to murder, and other Hurons had tried to murder them simply for being Monroe's children. So he had no reason to assume that they wouldn't just kill them both on sight. And then he just comes back. He just like waits for them to go to the Huron camp so he could stroll in and get the shit kicked out of him. And that was pretty much all he did. I mean, they went and reloaded and they got some more powder. Okay. But that was it. So like, so every time I get to this point in the movie, I'm like, it just feels mishandled. Like, especially like in the book, it made more sense because there's no romance. He's like, fuck you guys, I'm out. Like, it just kind of like figures things out later. But once you put this romantic element in there, it's hard to be like, oh, he loves her so much. Look at him run away in cowardice.
Yeah, now I know where that comes from. I will find you. I was like, oh, I've heard that before. I remember that. But.
Right, because they make it all super like dramatic, but it's like,
yeah. Well, you just hit on a point that I was trying to hit on before you got into this. They all come together. The music in this movie, and I know Eric loves it, so I hope you don't get upset here. But what if they just toned it down a little bit, like not made it so
maybe
epic.
Not play the main theme 500 times.
Yeah, I mean they went out of their way to make like natural lighting, a real minimalist reality type setup out there. But then this music is constantly shoved into our faces with the epic swathing, the mountains of the Adirondacks, even though it's shot in North Carolina. But it looks great, by the way. It looks absolutely
great. And not only that, and not that I want like these stereotypical like Indian drums throughout the whole thing, but the soundtrack is largely like Gaelic, in my opinion, and belongs in like Bob Boy or Braveheart. The
guy's fucking Scottish, right?
Yeah.
Dougie MacLean, the guy who wrote the actual song that they based the actual theme off of, is Dougie MacLean.
It's like Riverdance shit, and it's completely not right, but it's heroic sweep. I love it, but you're right. It is smothering every beat, and it either works for you or it doesn't. It works for me.
Oh, it's lovely, but you're right. It's smothering. So when you're in those third acts and they make it so intense like that, yeah, I can see your point, Travis. I actually don't really disagree with what you're saying, but at the same time, as a first-time viewer of the film, and if you've never seen it like I had, and you're watching it unfold, I guess it was difficult for me to question all of it as much because I was waiting to see what was happening. You're in that weird spot where it's like, oh, I've never seen this. I don't know what's going to happen. While you're trying to criticize it and kind of absorb it and see what you want to talk about. So it makes it a little more difficult. But I don't really argue with what you're saying.
So I don't think I've had to watch a movie for the first time on the show yet. I'm pretty sure I've seen every movie that we've done, but I hope that every movie that we do I've already seen before, because I feel like going in for the first time and trying to critique it kind of would skew your vision on it. But what do you think of the fact that it's a French? I mean, I kind of already alluded to this, but it's a movie set during the French and Indian War. Can you think of any other movie set during the French and Indian War?
That's so interesting.
I was thinking about that.
I could name maybe a few movies that took place during even the Revolutionary War. You don't see a lot of films from the 18th century at all. And to concentrate on the North American theater of this, what was it, 7 Years war is mind blowing. And the thing that interests me about it is The farther away, I think it's because the farther away you get from this time period, the more liberal you can be with your authenticity, because we're not so attached to it. And I think that's why a lot of people stayed away from it, because they may have been afraid that they were just going to be fucking shooting for the moon without any artifacts. I know Cooper took most of his book from literally eyewitnesses to a lot of this stuff. That's why it's so lofty of a presentation in the novel. But yeah, you don't see anything.
I actually, well, I mean, I think that there is like a fair amount of things that I found pretty authentic, which I really I liked. I liked that this is a frontier movie, and it's taking place in, like, as Mike said, like the Adirondacks. Like they're talking about going west to Kentucky. So like I think it's good because it helps remind viewers that the frontier is a very movable thing in American history. Like, it's not a set fixture. It's
the last frontier was the last of many frontiers,
right? So to think of that as the edge of like civilization, which of course is ridiculous, but that's how it's been approached in American history. Like I think that's like helpful. Well, I think that like the whole bit about them being fur trappers and then having to move west, not just to avoid the war, but because they're starting to run out of things to trap. Like, that was an actual problem. They started to kill all the fucking beaver, mainly, which was what they were after. And like that was a real problem around that time. And it was not a huge issue was made of it in the movie. It's just a throwaway line, but it's authentic.
This is before King George said like this imaginary line that you cannot cross, which was why so many of the colonists were pissed off, saying, we can go wherever the fuck we want to. So it's interesting.
And that's it was a throwaway, just like Pete Postlewaite was in this movie.
Reunited from In the Name of the Father,
which was the next year. Yeah.
Oh, was it the next year?
But you're right. Yeah, they were in that movie together. Can I bitch about the guy Duncan? I think it was terrible casting. Who the fuck is this guy? And he really was annoying. Why does he have to be so proud? The guy saved his fucking life. He couldn't have any sign of courage. But then he has the courage to sacrifice his life at the end. It doesn't fit. That also bothers me about the third act. It doesn't fit his profile. That guy would have saved his ass for anything.
I don't like to say this very often because I think it's just dumb, but he does have a really punchable face. Like, and I think it's probably because I've really only seen him in this role, and he's such like a sniveling worm through most of it.
You like him because you're infatuated with him.
Yeah,
Stephen Waddington is his name, by the way.
He's such a simp, like And you're right. Like, he's like delusional through most of this thing about like, we're going to be this amazing couple. We're going to take London by storm, all this stuff.
Oh yeah. What about that scene, by the way? Or you just reminded me, they cut to the scene where they're just in the middle of a field at this table. Yeah. It's such a weird cut. They're like, boom. Okay. There's the scene.
I'm sorry. I love that scene. I don't know, the actor aside, like the elements at play there, this is one thing I wrote down, and this is an Oscar winner for best sound. That scene, especially, I just love so much because not only is it so gorgeous to look at, but you get a few things. You get this dialogue, which is nice dialogue. You get the whipping of the sheet in the background, and you have these birds in the background, and you can hear the horse. That just stands out to me as on a technical aspect, just a great scene, and I think it sets up the narrative well.
Wait, one more thing about the stress real quick. What about these fucking fade to black commercial bullshit? Is that part of the movie? Am I insane?
No, yeah, you're right. That's terrible.
Dude,
it's 3 times.
Wait. This happened? Are you sure this isn't the YouTube?
It may have been the YouTube cut or something, but
I saw that too. Gearing up for ads on YouTube or something.
But it didn't go to. Okay, well, it didn't go to commercial at any of the times.
It didn't, but I think they were set up to go to commercial. I don't think that's part of the original cut.
Fuck that.
Okay, I hope so. I'll give a pass there because I was
back
like, what the fuck?
To go back to the table scene.
Yeah.
Like marriage throughout through world history really has, like, a lot of time it's been a thing of practicality. The idea of marrying for romance is a relatively new thing, especially in a Western thing. So like, I really like that they address that. Like, they make that, like, that's part of it. Like, yeah, of course, like Duncan's like he seems like a monster by our standard, and he is, but I mean, like, when he's like, just ignore your own faculties and trust me and your father to make your life decisions for you. But like, that was that was the thing. Like that was not
he literally says,
right,
he's like, well, you can tolerate me, so that's a means for marriage, right?
Right. And that seems like gasp worthy by our standards now, but at the time, like he wasn't that far off from like what would have been norm.
So totally legit.
And for her to be like, no, I kind of want to like do, follow my own, make my own choices like that. That's, I like that about the character. I like that she, because she kind of, it's a shifting standard of when romance and marriage are the norm. So like she's following her own path there.
Yes, that's unique, and I like that too. But all that was valid. Why does she have to kill herself? Why does Alice have to throw herself off the mountain?
So that she doesn't be taken by Magua and his men to be.
But they're all right behind them. They're right. They weren't. I mean, they were.
She doesn't know the others are behind them. Uncas got ahead of Father and Nathaniel. They show up relatively late, and Nathaniel shows up just in time to watch his sibling die, and then Cora shows up just in time to watch her sibling die.
And Alice was falling, they don't get into it too much, and I like the subtlety there, falling in love with Uncas. So her potential beloved is dead. She's about to be taken by these who she perceives to be hostiles. I think it's a noble act. And God, when that look on Magua's face, you can almost sense that he sees some honor in her deed too, and yet he needs her for his plan. I love it.
He's like, yeah, he's not easily shaken, but you can see it there.
Yeah.
But the only thing better than that, and again, like he's so stoic through much of this movie, when it's towards the end, and I'm really glad that the father is the one that kills him, not Nathaniel. When he sees that he is lost, and that quick furtive glancing of the eyes, like, fuck, I've lost.
Yeah,
it's just so subtle, but you're right, man. Wes Studi is a powerhouse. I'm really glad that that they worked together again in Heat, him and Michael Mann, right after that or shortly after that.
He was the detective, part of the detective.
Yeah, I wish he was doing like I'd like to see.
He got an honorary Oscar in 2019 for his work for Native Americans in film too. So God bless him. That's fucking awesome. He got that trophy.
He also could. I mean, I could have seen him getting it simply for best supporting actor for
absolutely.
This movie.
Yeah. There's a few things. I mean, like when he pulls, like we want to talk about whether or not these Indian stereotypes and this noble savage stuff still exists. There's some there, especially with Magua, who seems like this super intelligent person, really intelligent, voraciously intelligent, and he's referring himself in the third person. I think that was kind of a mistake. It kind of dumps him down and makes him seem a little simple for me. This heart business, I mean, historically, from what I understand, that is something that some folks would want to have go away. This idea that these natives are these cannibalistic beings who want to eat the heart of their enemy. That's myth.
I didn't get the sense he wanted to eat it. He just wanted to pull it out. So
the counting coup is what they call it, right? This is like when you're if you're like a Plains Indian or an American Indian at any rate, like in this time frame, battle meant like you had to count coup, like, and coup would be either like sometimes it depended on the standards. It could be simply touching your enemy while in combat, like you're like playing tag practically, or it could be taking a part of them like their scalp, which of course they learned from the French. The French initiated that practice in North America, and then American Indians picked it up and then became vilified for it. But as far as actual hearts getting cut out, I don't know if that's I don't know that was the norm necessarily, but I do know that the brutality with which American Indians could at times approach torture and murder, of other people, that does get a little swept under the rug. I'm gonna recommend a book for anyone interested in this time and place. There's a book called Middle Ground by a historian named Richard White. That's largely seen as like, the seminal work on this time and place. And one of the things that he talks about in it is the Miami, I believe the Miami Indians, like posting like corpses like every mile on stakes, that kind of stuff. Like there is a lot of like the brutality. I think it's certainly possible. I can understand.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's certainly problematic for anyone to assume, like with the scalping thing, that was the norm. Because again, like it could be like
it goes back to
combat for American Indians could be as simple as like touching someone.
Yeah.
It goes back to different tribes and to different things, and it depends.
Yeah.
That's where that all goes back to.
Yeah, you're right.
Some were very bloody, some were very chill. Aaron wants to say, just checking in for a second. Never seen this or Dances with Wolves. Am I missing out? Well, we've talked about this for a while. You're going to find out shortly at the end here whether it is worth it or not.
Yeah.
Eric, you had other beefs, Eric. What else?
Well, I think it's fun to compare something like this to like horseshit John Wayne films from the past of how natives were portrayed.
Oh, it's fucking
I would have
garbage.
liked to have seen
That's all trash.
in this, even we still have this war cry at every attack. From what I understand, that's not something that was done that often. None of the main characters that are natives do this. I kind of like to see that go away. But I love the fact that this tells the story from this point of view, because it took forever to get rid of this fucking horse shit representation in Hollywood history.
Yeah, I mean, you've got American Indians playing American Indians, and unfortunately, that was exceedingly rare at the time.
Yeah.
Between this and Dances with Wolves was pretty legendary.
Yeah,
or,
900
not legendary, but like trend setting.
Yeah.
Though I actually there wasn't a ton of historical inaccuracies that I felt I came across. Now, like say the massacre at Fort William Henry, that's debated as to how many how many people were killed as they were leaving, but that was all pretty accurate. But the whole thing where the French general goes to Magua and is like, I can't violate the terms. You go ahead. There's no reason to think that happened. There's no evidence.
In fact, Montcalm, from what I understand, lived in shame after that ended up happening.
Right.
For the most of his days, and he was just scandal century back in the day for him, who was assumed to have carried out that act. And
it's been blown up. I mean, again, like, at least 100 or more people died. I'm like, not trying to minimize it, but the number has been blown up into like thousands and stuff. And like, because like it became like this war story. The main thing I think that like I struggled the most with is when like, I forget who, one of the Englishmen is like leaving the Fort William Henry to like warn the family. And then like, and then like Uncas and Nathaniel are like sniping with fucking flintlock muskets. I'm like, this is not a thing. I'm sorry. These things go like 350 feet tops.
Thank you. The guy in the
like
woods
a mile out
way down there. Yeah. The guy, they couldn't get the one guy, but he got the one guy way over deep in the woods through tons of trees. I'm like, what the fuck is this? These are not accurate weapons.
Yeah, like all of a sudden he's mystical. They're both mystical. Like no, like you could have had something similar happen without it being quite as far fetched. But like that's it. My complaints as far as historical inaccuracies are there's not that many of them, honestly. Like
most of the shot of Duncan though. What about he shot Duncan to ease his pain because he was being fried to death? Yeah. But they wouldn't have noticed that. They're not morons too. Like, shit, you just shot.
They wouldn't hear the crack.
We wanted to burn him, you asshole.
We just let you go, you dick. We wanted this guy to burn. And then they would turn around and chase him.
That brings up an interesting thing that I tried to concentrate on. The violence in the film and the brutality. It seemed a little bit. This may be just me. It seemed a little sanitized, and I could have used some fucking Mel Gibson type brutality in here. It seemed like fucking
below camera
Disney
stuff,
cartoon, like boop, bah! Like I wasn't feeling the visceral nature of the
cuttings of the necks and stuff. A lot of the stuff was just like under the camera. You could see blood spurting up a tad. You're right, though. It was based on what I saw. I got the same vibe.
Maybe it was a censor thing because I remember like when Braveheart came out, that was one of the things that got the most attention for was the absolute fucking brutality that Mel Gibson did. But
there's a lot of murder in this movie, a lot of wartime murder, but still there's a lot of killing. There's a lot of
murder.
Yeah, it's still murder. But there's a lot of violence in this film. I like, and Michael Mann is not known for like just shying away from violence, but I could see like he didn't need to lean into it. I mean like. You do have someone's heart getting cut out. Do we need to see, like, we see the heart itself? That's pretty gory. Like, do we need to see it getting carved out of his chest? Stuff like that.
I could have, it definitely would have. I was just looking at the horse they put right in front of that, so I wouldn't have to see it.
Yeah. I also completely confused who Gray Hair was. I thought he meant
Monroe,
the Mohicans, until he killed Monroe. I'm like, oh, that's what you meant. I just didn't know. It's hard to keep track of some of this stuff as a first-time viewer. It's a lot going on, a lot of names, and some of it's tough to understand at times. There's no subtitles. I'd like to see there's subtitles for the language I don't understand, but I like to have my English subtitles on too, so I can catch every word. When I don't know the movie, I miss a few things here and there. If you're not paying attention, a lot of the dialogue is short and to the point, and you need to hear it because it does tell you things that's going on in this movie.
Did you guys spot the young Jared Harris from the beginning of the movie?
I did.
Speaking of punchable, like I was like, oh my god, I hate you so much in this movie, Jared Harris. He's
so
evil. He's the guy in the beginning that's like the British soldier that's telling them, like, that's calling them to fight for the British.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
That was him.
So, what do we think about the great Daniel Day-Lewis here? We haven't had a chance to talk about him. I mean, I'm sure he like ate rabbits like every day and like built fires all day or whatever he fucking did method wise. But how did he do? Like, does it strike you as one of his better performances?
The voice, the accent, it's not an accent. I don't know. It doesn't fit. I'm confused with when he spoke. I don't know what I expected, but
it was a war party.
Yeah, the cadence, maybe. I don't know. Something was a little off for me with
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, English was supposed to be his second language.
Right.
That's true. That's true. And we all know he definitely. I think he wanted to be authentic as possible because he always does, and he gave everything to this part.
Bad. I bet he.
It said even this got to him though. Apparently, this made him start smoking again. The shoot was pretty rough because it went on and on and on, and it was in the woods and
very physical role. It's that to me is what impresses me most about. Well, yeah, for everybody, but especially for him and Uncas and a couple other people.
Like Madeline Stowe hanging out in the woods all the time. Like apparently she would have. This is what
she's not swinging hatchets and shit, though. I mean, like,
no, but she's out there, roughing it. I guess I don't know. Maybe she did rough it. It's a movie, Mike. They can go off to a trailer with fucking star trailers over there in a heartbeat.
She wasn't sleeping on a tree. But no, yeah, like I that was what impressed me most was the physicality of the role. I would not put it in the top, 5 or 20 even, or he probably done like 20 roles, but
can't do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it in his top tier stuff personally.
Yeah, I can't do that. I mean, it's a solid job. I'd be curious to see if somebody a little more brute,
bald. Take away those locks, and are you as impressed?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Like, but you never get a haircut out there too, right? I guess people did cut their hair and stuff, and they do have knives.
But American Indians don't cut their hair. That's that's the fucking thing. You don't do that.
Yeah,
he wouldn't do that because he's living on his
There's nothing about his. Yes, that's true. There's nothing about what he did in this movie that was amazing or awful in any way. It was just a nice, solid role. Good for him. Michael Mann's the guy who I think should deserve the most credit for creating this because
hold on. When you're running up a 45-degree angle, loading a flintlock musket at the same time, that's fucking intense and completely respectable. I think there's a lot of things we didn't even notice.
That's impossible though, man.
I don't know if that's possible to do.
A lot of that, yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
It takes like a minute to 5 to.
The two muskets thing, that's where I really lost it. Two muskets in each. Yeah!
Thank God someone loaded them for me because it takes a good minute to 5 minutes to load these things. It takes a while.
I will give him credit. He did pick up another musket of a dead guy as he was going by because it was preloaded. He didn't get to shoot it. That's cool. I'll give him a little points for that. But why'd they have to do that in this movie? You don't do the two-gun action movie thing with muskets.
No, there is a name that we have to say here that we haven't spoken yet that deserves a ton of credit, and that's cinematographer Dante Spinati. This movie, there are so many scenes that look like a painting. That shot early on of like the bridge over the water, you can see the bridge reflected with the water and the British. I mean, it's like I would hang that in my living room. Just a picture of that. Like, it's fucking gorgeous. Dante Spinati has always been my favorite cinematographer, and I've always been partial to his work indoors. To be honest, I think he does he does really good with oranges and like ochras and like these dark kind of colors.
Green.
Well, you got a lot of that outdoors, I guess, which you got in this movie, and I thought he did a fucking fantastic job. I love the way this movie looks.
One of my favorite scenes is when Hayward first goes to General Webb's fort, and they're inside and they're having that meeting, The scene is so underlit, and in any other movie, it just looked like this fucking lame Hollywood stage. You just have all these shadows in the background because there wouldn't be any light source, and Spinati takes advantage of that, much like, of course, Kubrick did with Barry Lyndon. But there's all sorts of these instances when the Huron are walking through the woods. I mean, when have you seen the woods look this beautiful in a movie? And you just see these shapes going by, reflected in the sunlight, so gorgeous, beautiful.
He's a legend. I mean, he could do this, and then he could lay it out in LA Confidential with like glossy, classy 40s look. He can do anything,
or he could make it pop like with Ant-Man and the Wasp. I mean, like that's a very like vibrant and like current feeling movie. What it is.
I just think it's funny to mention both those movies and then Ant-Man and the Wasp in the same breath.
I like it better than both the movies we're talking about.
No, not LA Confidential. Don't
Not
give me
hearing that, right?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, fuck
hearing
you.
that,
Come
right.
on.
Fuck you. I like it better. I can like whatever I want to like. You fix the shit.
I'm not going to fix that. I can't fix you.
I'm allowed to like whatever I
boy.
want to like, motherfucker.
Well, you can like what you like, but there's just no way that's true.
I think Ant-Man and the Wasp is better. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you.
Well,
I really like the fact that they trying to think of something to say, so it's less obvious.
No, I mean, come on. We talked.
Oh, you started telling me fuck me for my opinion.
We got to wrap this up. We started earlier on this too. We got to wrap this up. I think we
There's
got
so much
Dante
more to
in.
talk about.
What? We covered fucking shitloads already.
There's a lot going on in this movie. It's true, but we do typically wrap up at an hour and a half, I guess.
Get your last thought out. Go ahead. Say whatever you want.
Yeah.
Come on.
Is there check your notes. Is there anything
What are you
want
dying to say? Come on. What did we miss, Mr. Branch?
Well, there's not many women in it, especially on the native side. When you're dealing with a matriarchal society, like a lot of Native American tribes were, you've got no women anywhere who pretty much would have been the predominant voice in a family, and they're not existent.
That was one of the things I found interesting a little bit too, was like this movie, you had an opportunity to play with the idea of like chiefs and generals and stuff, because like, you know, Western culture, European culture, we typically look at like there's got to be one person in charge, and then like, but the reality for like American Indians is like there's many chiefs. There's a council. They're usually councils, and as you say, they're often matriarchal in form. So like that was not the most authentic stuff that I've seen in film either. Yeah,
we also didn't get enough of that though too. Like we didn't get to jump into their groups and their worlds enough. It was brief, so I also feel like they kind of half-assed it because they didn't spend enough time there. And maybe Michael Mann had a 3-hour cut where he wanted to do a lot more of that. But
I also wonder about the motivation for Uncas and the father. I wonder why they didn't kind of like, well, okay, so Uncas starts to fall in love with Alice, but it's very subtle. But like, why don't they be like, yo, bro, like we're going to Kentucky. Well, this is not our fight. And especially as they're bringing them to Fort William Henry, like they're like crossing through, like they see that they're like, I get it. Like they see that there's soldiers, there's Huron soldiers behind them coming, and then they kind of have to cross the water to go into Fort William Henry. But it's like, did you really? Couldn't you have gone the other, like go left, and like maybe just not take those girls to the place that was clearly a scary and violent place where bad things would likely happen to them.
Okay, good point.
That's true. All right. Well, there it is. There. We got a little bit more for you, Eric. Let's call it what it is, Eric Branstrom. This movie's in the can. Who's going first? I can't keep track anymore.
Why don't you go
first? Really?
I don't know.
Okay, fine. I'll go first. I don't care. I'll tell you this. This is a movie directed by Michael Mann. We covered all that. You know all the specifics. It's actually pretty entertaining. It's sweeping and gorgeous and powerful. And in the end, as a first-time watcher of the film, pretty fun at times, but a little bland early on. Kind of what one of the reviewers said. It does get off to kind of a confusing. You have to get your bearings in this movie. It's like, where am I? Who's who? What's going on? Maybe I should have given like a pamphlet, like a pre-pamphlet to kind of fill me in on what's going on with the war at that time, so I'd have a better understanding. Like, oh, okay, I get it. All right, so here's where we are. But there wasn't one of that. There was a novel, but it was an actual novel, not like a movie novel based on the movie. You know, it was James Fenimore Cooper. Well done. Never read the novel. I'm actually going to read the novel now because I never did. So I think that alone inspires me enough to say that this movie holds up, because I want to read the book to find out more. And until then, I'm in. I thought it was a bigoted bullshit where a white guy played a Native American, and that was not the case. If you think that, if you're younger, when you're from a newer generation, you're like, oh my God, look at this white asshole surrounded by all these Native Americans. It's not like that. It really isn't. Check out the source material and dive into it a little bit more. And that's what I learned. So, it's a rock solid film. I'll give it a holds up.
Music.
Music.
Eric,
Beautiful music.
I'm hearing music somewhere. Anyways, Eric, you go ahead. What do you want
I fucking love this movie. In fact, I think this is the first movie that I've reviewed on the show that I ended up actually buying the Blu-ray for. I went ahead and ordered it because I'm planning on watching this many, many times over. It's stuffed with so many wonderful things, not just technically, but on a story level. The crown versus colonist politics are in there. It says a lot of things about like the agency of the natives. They're not just these quiet warriors. They barter intellectually with the French and the English for trade or political gain or even spite. And basically you just have this, it's sweeping and it's epic, but I mean, it's beautiful. When the fort is surrendered, you have hundreds of extras in period garb and this beautiful matte shot of Fort Webb in the back. I don't think it's a matte. I think they built Fort Webb for like $6 million or some shit, but it's just the kind of movie you don't see a lot. And I think it absolutely holds up. We didn't get a chance to talk about, in the beginning, you have this family who are formerly indentured servants, and they're these victims of displacement, and not a lot of people talk about that scene. I love it. Yeah, they're beholden to no one, but they're susceptible to attack because none of this land was available to these poor farmers. And just investigating that and taking the time, even when you have what is essentially like this action movie, I give it a lot of credit for little details like that. I love the movie. The performances are fucking awesome. The score is beautiful. Can't wait to see it again, to be honest with you guys.
All right. So like I said, the last time I watched this movie before last, which was like 20 years ago or so, I just thought it was trash. Overwrought, maudlin melancholy, like just fucking just overdone. So I was not excited to watch it again, but as I told you, Eric, over our text, that I was going to go in with an open mind, and I found myself, repeatedly impressed by the historical accuracy. You mentioned like the indentures, the Cameron family that's slaughtered. Like, you're right. Like, again, we're talking about the frontier. Poor whites would often be the ones forced to the edge of the frontier, right. And pushing further into often territory that had been arranged through treaty to not be interfered with, but the indentured servants kind of needed somewhere to go, the former indentured servants. So that you would have conflict for those reasons. And then there's also this other scene where you get this sense that like the American colonists who are fighting on the side of the English are like, what the fuck? These people are so different from us. Like, they don't have the same values. They don't have the same standards. They're treating us like we and our families are just completely disposable and dispensable. And that's often, I think, one of the things that's left out of stories about the American Revolution is all of the conflict and contention that built during the French and Indian War between Americans who had previously thought of themselves as English. And then they're confronted with having like a huge English force around them that they're working with side by side, and like being like, fuck, we got a lot of differences between us, even in language and culture and everything, like, and value. So like, and you get that in the movie, and it's not even that heavy handed. It's actually done pretty well. So as much as I still kind of cringe at the romantic angle of it, and there's part of me that's always going to be like, why are their teeth all so nice? But like, that's nitpicky as fuck. When you get down to it, this is a surprisingly really accurate, I think, piece of cinema for being a historical fiction. I don't think it's the best work that Daniel Day-Lewis did by any means, but he's certainly capable. I mean, it's fucking Daniel Day-Lewis. And again, like, the direction's great and the cinematography is fucking fantastic. This movie holds up, much to my surprise.
Yay! There you go, Eric. Aren't you happy?
Yeah, I'm pleased.
I'm pleased that you chose it, because I would not have watched it probably for the rest of my life otherwise.
Cool. Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
How long it would have gone on? I would have been living a lie for decades. So I'm glad you helped me. You got me to a better place, Eric.
You saved us, Eric.
He's
Just
working
like
out every
Hawkeye.
day.
You're the
Just like
white savior.
The white savior, Hawkeye. You guys.
Turns
have
out
something in
I'm the
common.
white savior. Fuck.
Hey, White Shadow. All right, there it is. What'd you guys think? Agree, disagree? Cinnamon9pod, protonmail.com. Send us an email. Let us know what you think. Is this movie trash? Do we get it wrong? We're willing to admit it when we make mistakes. We will accept all opinions, but it doesn't mean we have to agree with them. Right, Travis?
We all have opinions.
See? Exactly.
Yeah.
Like Ant-Man and the Wasp versus LA Confidential. Some people like it.
I mean, it's pointless to compare them. Toy Story 3 versus Blade Runner. Why? Why would we compare them? I don't know why, but
I never
would
saw
go,
Toy
Hear
Story.
them all day.
I would go Blade Runner, but
I know
but
Eric's
that might-
always
that might
ready to
match.
compare everything.
well,
This
Mike,
is the film.
Yeah. Also, so we have a guest host following next week's show, right?
Yeah.
correct. We have a guest host. Yeah, so you're picking the movie for next week, and then the following week, my friend Donnie from the podcast All American Spook Show will be joining us.
All American Spook Show. Check it out, Donnie.
Cool.
Donnie. Good to have you aboard, Donnie. Looking forward to it. I wonder what
Great.
Donnie will pick since his show's called All American Spook Show.
And also, we should probably mention I invited Brian Rowe from the new podcast, What This Song Means to Me. I invited him.
Brian Seymour.
Brian Seymour. I apologize. I don't know where.
Who's Brian Rowe? Is that from high school?
I think that's somebody we went to high school with. Yeah,
I think
sorry,
it is. Yeah.
Brian. Brian,
Seymour.
I don't know where I got Rowe. Sorry about that.
You
Brian
really
Seymour.
did. He was from high school. I forgot about Brian Rowe.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
I swear I got. So shout out to him. Mike and I
Yes.
have both recently been on the show. Mike's episode is already published, so you can check that out. My episode will be up later at some point, and we're looking forward to him.
Did you do it
having him
yet?
on the show. Yeah, I did it yesterday.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I did it yesterday.
Can you at least
So,
tell us a song, or are you not going to tell us?
Oh, why would I tell you that?
Well, I shared the song at least, but I got to hear the story to figure out what the song's about. So.
The song that I chose is "Peace, Peace" by Bill Evans.
Oh.
Wow, I can't wait to read because I have no idea what that even means. So I'm definitely going to
That's the
listen.
Jacko's boating song.
Also,
is-
our friend Chris Deary did his episode the other day too. So
that's
everyone's
great.
doing an episode.
So check out Brian's podcast, "What This Song Means to Me."
Yeah, it's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It just came out officially yesterday. So the first 3 episodes were rolled out. Mine, I think his sister's and his, which was Tool Lateralus. He's a big Tool. Him and Dave Horning, you'd love this guy. He's a Tool psycho. You guys should hook up. Talk about Tool. Not that that's anyone's business on a podcast, but I put it out there. Anyway,
What
it's a
color
really good.
was Dave's truck in high school? That's a real question. Write us here
Oh,
at Cinema 9 Pod.
I think he had to have a station wagon type thing or like a hatchback wagon, didn't he?
He didn't have
I
a
think he
truck.
did.
I
Yeah,
forget what he
not a
had.
truck guy.
The Millennium Falcon, the aluminum Falcon. I had his car actually.
Yeah, I saw.
Gray Pontiac 6000.
Yep.
Yeah, well, Aluminum Falcon Live. That was a good show. Remember that? So.
Yes, he named his band after the car that my mom bought for me from him.
It's all true.
It's all true.
All
You
true.
guys
It's
need
an
to
absolute
know
true
this.
story.
Cinema 9 fans, you need to know.
If they make a movie about it, this will be
aspect of our
authentic.
history.
I want to see it authentic to a T. Done.
We're
Historically
heading
accurate.
west to Kentucky.
Yeah, but check out the series. In all seriousness, please check out that podcast. It's really cool. What this song means to me. It's new. I think it's a great idea. And people are like sharing cool stories about songs and what it means to them. It's a lot of fun. Actually, sometimes it's not, but it's also a great idea. Regardless.
Yeah, mine's depressing as fuck. Fair warning.
Exactly. But if maybe fun's the wrong word. If you actually want to hear like a genuine story from people, you like storytelling, it's perfect. It's not just like somebody talking about a song and the band for 40 minutes. They tell you a story about their lives based around a song. Pretty cool. Very cool. All right. So,
So
I guess I gotta-
you are next, my friend. You have to pick a movie if you haven't already. If you haven't been
Yeah, I
vamping
have
in
a
the back of your mind. Oh, you
I
got
have a
something.
couple in the hopper here that I really want to do, and it's
All
been
right.
tough to decide between them. What did I pick last time? I was disappointed with it. I feel like it didn't really hit.
I think you did Dogma.
Yeah,
It
you
was a
did.
fun
yeah.
show.
Yeah, that was a fun show. Okay. All right. I forgot. We said society 14 times. How could I forget that?
Society.
No, that's cheating. Chad, don't add those. Those don't count. So I was really debating over 3 movies. One is I'll give you the dates. One's in
Okay.
2010, one's in 2000, and one's in 1991.
Let's do the
And,
2010. We just did 92.
We did do 92. You're right. Okay. 2010, you said? All right. Then we're doing it.
That's what I said. What do you say, Eric?
Don't matter to me. I'm the edge of my seat. What do you got?
Well, if you say 2010, then we're doing it. We're actually going to do How Do You Know? The James Brooks movie featuring
God.
Jack Nicholson, which is an interesting
How
film.
do you know?
I want to get the
How do you know?
it kind
How
of
do you
came and
know?
went, and Jimmy Brooks always hit it. Like Jimmy Brooks always made hits, and this one kind of came and went. So I want to find out 10, 11 years later what happened with this movie. Paul Rudd, Jack Nicholson,
Reese Witherspoon. I should
Reese
have guessed.
Witherspoon, Owen Wilson,
All right.
Catherine Hahn. I mean, it's got a great cast. So let's see what happens.
Interesting choice.
I've
All
never
right.
seen it. Yeah, I skipped it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought about like, it's not like it has a lot of star power, but it kind of came and went. So I thought it would be worth it. Cool.
Okay, cool.
Cool. All right.
I'll save the other two for my next time. So yeah.
All right.
We'll get to those another time. All right,
Very good.
cool. Next week, How Do You Know? A
Do You
2010
Know?
film directed by Jimmy Brooks, also known as James L. Brooks.
Our buddy Jim Brooks.
Yeah, our bud Jim, known for a lot of good stuff. Damn it, McHale's Navy loses again. Yes, I'm sorry, Steve.
Yeah,
I
no
thought-
McHale's maybe.
Damn it. Sorry, I know you were really hoping.
Holding out for down Periscope.
I
actually.
literally was just
Double
about to make that
feature.
joke.
Yeah, that's all you
Down
got, right?
Periscope.
Anything else?
And
Any-
out to sea? Yeah, out to sea
Yeah.
could cap off the trilogy.
Out
Oh.
to sea. Yeah.
It's more like a rom-com, though.
That wasn't
right?
that bad, actually.
Yeah. I figured you'd
Submarine
say that.
comedy? What else we got? What is another submarine comedy?
Not a comedy. Yeah,
Um,
U571's terrible. Don't watch
What
that
about
movie.
the Life Aquatic? I mean, that's
Oh,
technically
yeah,
a
that'll
submarine
work.
Okay,
comedy.
I think that would technically qualify. I do.
Yeah.
All right, let's get the hell out of here. All
Trilogy.
right, thank you,
No,
everyone.
no, we're gonna go through all the submarine comedies.
Yeah,
You're all
come
gonna
on
stay
now.
here and listen to it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You're right. Let's extend this further.
kid,
All right,
I
you guys
kid.
have been. We had a good show. Good time today.
Yeah.
Good choice. The movie surprises. You never know what you get each week on the Cinema 9 Pod. Thanks to everybody. Catch you later.
Listen to us next week. I will find you.